Good evening, it's 10 o'clock. I'm Matt Barbet. This is Sky News at 10. Our top story. As Lord Mandelson is sacked as US ambassador, Sky News reveals the security services had warned Number 10 about giving him the job. Questions now for Keir Starmer as the Tories demand to know what the Prime Minister knew and when. The FBI releases images of a person of interest in the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk as a manhunt continues.
We have recovered what we believe is the weapon that was used in yesterday's shooting. It is a high-powered bolt-action rifle.
Also tonight, 3 members of a family from Essex are jailed for making neo-Nazi music promoting terrorism and racial hatred. Prince Harry's 4-day trip to the UK comes to a close, but has he done enough to rebuild royal bridges? And we'll be taking a first look at tomorrow's front pages in our press preview from 10:30 right through to midnight. Good evening. Less than 24 hours after publicly backing Lord Mandelson, the Prime Minister announced this morning that he had decided to sack him as the US ambassador over his links to the paedophile Jeffrey Epstein. The government said new information had come to light revealing the depths of their friendship. But Keir Starmer is now under pressure tonight to explain what he knew and when, after Sky News revealed that the security services had warned Number 10 about Lord Mandelson before he was given the job. Our political editor, Beth Rigby, has more.
Jeffrey Epstein and Peter Mandelson, the paedophile and the peer. This a friendship that endured even beyond Epstein's convictions, and one that on Thursday ended Lord Mandelson's political career. The Prime Minister and his Foreign Secretary concluding this morning the US ambassador had to go, this minister delivering the news.
The Prime Minister has asked the Foreign Secretary to withdraw him as ambassador to the United States. The emails show, Mr. Speaker, that the depth and extent of Lord Mandelson's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein is materially different from that known at the time of his appointment.
These are the emails that sealed Lord Mandelson's fate. Leaked to Bloomberg News, these exchanges reveal Peter Mandelson remained supportive of Epstein even after he was convicted for sex trafficking underage girls. I think the world of you, he wrote to Epstein on the day he went to prison. And Mandelson suggested the first charge for sex offences against Epstein was wrong, as he urged his friend to fight. Your friends stay with you and love you. But the questions had been coming for months.
In June 2009, did you stay at the apartment in Manhattan of Jeffrey Epstein?
I'm not answering any questions about him.
He was in jail at the time for soliciting prostitution from a minor.
And my knowledge of him is something that I regret. I wish I'd never met him in the first place.
At Prime Minister's questions this week, Keir Starmer was still defending his ambassador.
I have confidence in the ambassador in the role that he is doing.
Sky News understands Number 10 appointed Lord Mandelson despite concerns raised by security services. The leader of the opposition calling for full transparency.
He knew that Peter Mandelson had said that there are more revelations to come. I think that is part of evidence that he has extremely bad judgment. We want to see all the papers and know all the information that surrounds Peter Mandelson's hiring in the first place.
This is not the first time Lord Mandelson's resigned in disgrace. He stepped down as Trade Secretary in the Blair administration over a loan from a colleague he failed to register. He then had to quit again.
I am today resigning from the government.
This time as Northern Ireland Secretary over a cash for passports scandal. But he held on to his constituency of Hartlepool.
They underestimated me because I am a fighter and not a quitter.
And made an eyebrow-raising return to the front bench under Gordon Brown. But Mandelson has always been controversial, even amongst his own.
It's shameful that Peter Mandelson didn't resign in the national interest, in the interest of the government, but he's not that sort of person, so it was right that Keir Starmer sacked him.
When those toe-curling emails were released showing Peter Mandelson clearly supporting a convicted sex offender, it was obvious he had to go. And the Prime Minister did execute a swift about-turn and sacked him. But this is really grave for Keir Starmer. The damage has been done. 2 weeks into a reset, 2 scandals, 2 senior people leaving his government. All of it casts a very long shadow over his promise to clean up politics, and all of it raises serious questions about his political judgment as Prime Minister. It also casts a shadow over the upcoming state visit for US President Trump, with the White House, royal family and the UK government all tarnished by association with sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, an issue they all wanted to avoid, now top of the agenda. Beth Rigby, Sky News, Westminster.
In a moment, we'll be live in Washington with our US correspondent Mark Stone. But first, let's head to Downing Street. Our political correspondent Rob Powell is there. Evening to you, Rob. It's history repeating itself for Peter Mandelson, but also for the Prime Minister. Only this time last week, we had similar with Angela Rayner, was backed and then she went. And now this, with questions to answer again for the Prime Minister.
Yeah, absolutely. And Peter Mandelson hasn't exactly made it easy for the Prime Minister either. A distinct sense that he didn't want to leave this post. He perhaps didn't really think he needed to resign. And I think that's what grates the most with many Labour MPs who really wanted him to walk under his own steam days ago. The fact he didn't, the fact that Keir Starmer went out and defended him yesterday, well, yes, that has caused damage to him and the government. I think for a viewer, for a voter, dipping in, glancing at the day's news, it's more headlines about scandal, more headlines about resignations. It is also, though, the type of scandal that the Conservatives were getting embroiled in the dying days of their administration, the type of scandal that Labour would lambast them for. Now, I think there is also clearly a question over judgment, the judgment of Sir Keir Starmer. The argument being made by Downing Street today is what was in those emails that came out in the last 24 hours is materially different to what they knew before. That clearly throws up questions about the comprehensiveness of the vetting checks and the security checks that were done on Peter Mandelson before he was appointed. That said, I think the risks of this appointment were pretty clear in advance. Sam Coates, our colleague, reporting today that Number 10 essentially overruled warnings that came from the security services about Peter Mandelson. The judgment appears to be that the benefits that he could bring to the job would have outweighed the risks. Now, to an extent, you can see the logic behind that. Number 10 were desperate for a so-called Trump whisperer, someone that could pave the way for Keir Starmer to forge a close relationship with Donald Trump, someone not really ideologically in the same wheelhouse as the Labour Prime Minister. And that has happened. Keir Starmer, on the whole, has manoeuvred pretty deftly around Donald Trump, and there haven't been any massive cock-ups. But I think this evening he'll be wondering whether that could have been achieved with a different ambassador without the drama of the last week. Also, inevitably, when havoc like this afflicts this place, you start to get briefing, finger-pointing. Articles this evening littered with references to the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney, and accusing him of being the main cheerleader, the person out there batting for Lord Mandelson to go into this job in the first place and to stay in the job as well. Look, I think a couple of things are certain this evening. Days from the Trump state visit, this is one of the last things that Number 10 would have wanted. But also, not for the first time even in the last week or so, many in Labour will be sat on their sofas this evening, head in hands maybe, wondering how on earth the government have got this so badly wrong once again.
Rob, thank you very much indeed. Well, as Rob mentioned there, all this comes just days before President Trump's state visit to the UK. Let's go live to Washington. Mark Stone, our US correspondent, is there. And, of course, there's more to it than that, Mark, because of the Epstein connection, something that Donald Trump has been asked questions about in recent days and months as well.
Yeah, and look, Matt, I think that's actually a really important point. I mean, remember, the British government has now taken a clear position that if someone is closely associated with Jeffrey Epstein, as Lord Mandelson, it turns out, was, then their position is untenable and they have fired that person. So how do they explain that to their close ally and the leader that they are trying to cozy up to as closely as they can, Donald Trump, when he too is very closely associated with Jeffrey Epstein? Epstein, in fact, was also in that book, that birthday book put together by Ghislaine Maxwell back in 2003. There is a letter, as we know, from Donald Trump, although he denies that it was from him. Donald Trump is a person that is claiming that the whole Epstein thing is a distraction and is a hoax. So that is certainly an awkward thing. Look, this has been a hell of a day for the British government. There is no question about that. A hell of a day politically for Keir Starmer, but diplomatically as well. Remember that Peter Mandelson was at the very heart of the organising for this state visit, which is much more than just pomp. It's a massive deal. They hope to sign, further the trade arrangements. There's supposed to be AI and tech announcements as well. All that will continue because of the apparatus under Peter Mandelson. But to lose the figurehead is really very awkward indeed. So I think it is going to be tricky going forward. James Roscoe, the deputy, has been appointed as the interim ambassador. I guess actually in the short term that's helpful because clearly he is heavily involved in the organisation of the state visit as well. He also used to work in the royal household. He's worked deeply within Number 10 as well. So all of that will help. Longer term, it's not clear who they will appoint or when they will appoint them. But Peter Mandelson, a man who is so good at spinning, was unable to spin his way out of this one. He did write a note to all staff at what is Britain's biggest embassy this morning. I'll read a bit of it to you. He says, "I continue to feel utterly awful about my association with Epstein 20 years ago and the plight of his victims. I have no alternative to accepting the Prime Minister's decision and will leave a position which I have been so incredibly honoured to serve." The other thing he did, Matt, in that letter is to point out just how close he believes the special relationship is. And it's worth pointing out that he was clearly a high-risk, high-reward candidate. High risk for everything we now know, high reward because he is good at what he does. And it's no exaggeration to say that Britain is in an incredibly good position with this Trump administration. Many people will claim that is down to the way Peter Mandelson has handled it.
Mark in Washington, thanks very much indeed. Thanks to you, Rob, as well in Westminster. Well, just in the past few moments, President Trump has been speaking about the killing of Charlie Kirk, and he was asked whether he is concerned for his own safety. Here's what he had to say.
Are you concerned for your own safety?
Not really. I'm really concerned for our country. We have a great country. We have a radical left group of lunatics out there, just absolute lunatics, and we're going to get that problem solved. I'm only concerned for the country. Yeah.
Mr. President, how do you want to see your supporters respond to this? Charlie Kirk was a big advocate of nonviolence and free speech on campus. How do you want your supporters to respond, sir?
I think that way. He was an advocate of nonviolence. That's the way I'd like to see people respond. Say it? I did. I spoke to Erica, his wife, and we had a long talk, and she's devastated. She is absolutely devastated, as you can imagine.
Are you concerned?
Have any reporting interrogation behind the Charlie Kirk assassination?
I don't know what you're saying.
What do you think about the people? Mr. President, when, Mr. President, are you planning to bring both presidents, the president of Congo, Felix Tshisekedi, and president of Rwanda,
they're coming soon. They're coming soon. And as you know, I spoke to their foreign ministers. They were here a couple of weeks ago, as you remember. And they'll be coming soon. The presidents are coming very soon.
This week, Mr. President, I witnessed more than 60 people in DRC Congo were killed. There is people affiliated with ISIS. Terrorist groups are taking advantage because of the situation going on because of the war. So what is your word for Congolese people?
Well, we're going to be talking to them. As you know, we are talking to them. It's a very violent place. It's very, very violent. For a long time, it's been going on for 30 years, 35 years even, they say. But we're going to handle it. Thank you.
Are you concerned about the shooter?
Any reaction on the Russian drones in Poland?
Can't understand.
Mr. President, what do you think about the media that justify the murder of Charlie Kirk?
I think it's terrible. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. It's terrible.
Why haven't they found the shooter yet, Mr. President? Are you concerned that it's been 24 hours?
Well, I hear they're making big progress, and we'll have to see what happens.
Do you have any indication of the shooter's motivation, sir?
I have an indication, yeah, but we'll let you know about that later. Thank you.
About the Russian attack on Poland. You spoke with Uzbekistani president, and this last Sunday you sent greetings to Kazakhstan. UN General Assembly is upcoming. Are you going to meet with the presidents of Central Asian countries?
President where?
Central Asian countries, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan.
I will be, yeah. They're very good people, and I will be doing that, yes.
So you believe the killer was a trained assassin? Usually your instincts are always on.
I'd rather not say. I think progress is being made. He's an animal, total animal. And hopefully they'll have him and they'll get him. What he did is disgraceful. Charlie Kirk was a great person, a great man, great in every way, especially with youth. And what he did, what this man did, was disgraceful. So hopefully we'll have him and we will deal with him very appropriately.
What's your reaction to Russian drone incursion into Poland?
Could have been a mistake. Could have been a mistake, but regardless, I'm not happy about anything having to do with that whole situation. But hopefully it's going to come to an end.
Mr. President, in Brazil, Bolsonaro was just found guilty by the Supreme Court. You've been very clear that you would apply sanctions. Are you thinking further sanctions to Brazil because of this Bolsonaro?
Well, I watched that trial. I know him pretty well. Foreign leader. I thought he was a good president of Brazil. And it's very surprising that that could happen. That's very much like they tried to do with me, but they didn't get away with it at all. But I can only say this. I knew him as president of Brazil. He was a good man. And I don't see that happening.
I'm very sorry for your loss, for everybody's loss. I'm very sorry for your loss, first of all.
Thank you.
How do you think Israel's attack in Doha will affect the hostage deal?
You better say it a little bit more. Where are you from?
I'm from Israel, Channel 14.
Okay,
It's like
go ahead, do it
Israeli
again.
Fox.
Do it again.
How do you think Israel's attack in Doha will affect the hostage deal?
Well, hopefully it won't affect it at all. We want the hostages out, and we want them out soon. Hopefully it won't affect it.
Mr. President, my condolences to you, sir. My condolences on the loss of your friend. How are you holding up over the last 3.5 years?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty. It'll be an absolutely magnificent structure. And I just see all the trucks. We just started, so it'll get done very nicely, and it'll be one of the best anywhere in the world, actually.
Donald Trump answering questions at the White House just a few moments ago. Well, as the president mentioned there, a manhunt is continuing for the shooter who killed the right-wing influencer Charlie Kirk in Utah last night. The FBI has released images of a person of interest, saying a suspect of college age is still on the run, but they have recovered a high-powered rifle. A reward of $100,000 is being offered for information leading to the arrest of Charlie Kirk's killer. Our US correspondent James Matthews reports now from Orem in Utah.
This is a manhunt, and this is how it looks.
Sheriff Department, police force, SWAT team, they were all over.
FBI investigators examined the scene of an assassination as they hunted Charlie Kirk's killer, starting with the roof where the fatal shot was fired. They issued 2 images of what they called a person of interest, a man of university age in baseball cap and shades, wearing a jumper bearing what appears to be the American flag and eagle.
Counting or not counting gang violence?
It was a shocking murder on a university campus that woke up a crime scene with a sense of unreality at what happened here. In place of classes was a press conference about the murder in their midst.
Can you talk to us about their movements, their demeanor?
Suspect blended in well with a college institution. That individual appears to be of college age. We are confident in our abilities to track that individual.
Investigators have gathered a palm print, a forearm imprint, and a footwear impression. This is also key. The escape route taken by the assassin being examined by agents of the FBI. This is where the gunman ran over this road towards this woodland. And in amongst those trees, a high-powered bolt-action rifle was discarded and recovered. Attending a 9/11 memorial, President Trump announced he would honour his old friend formally.
I'm pleased to announce that I will soon be awarding Charlie Kirk posthumously the Presidential Medal of Freedom. The date of the ceremony will be announced, and I can only guarantee you one thing, that we will have a very big crowd.
Charlie Kirk was a significant player in the Republican movement.
My name is Charlie Kirk.
In Utah, arrangements were made to fly his casket home to Arizona aboard Air Force Two. Vice President J.D. Vance flew to Utah to make a last journey with his political soulmate. Overnight at the hospital where they tried but failed to save Charlie Kirk, members of the public paid tribute, some who'd witnessed the horror.
And I was doing okay. And then I was putting my 5-year-old to bed, and she had me read her story about love. I just couldn't finish the story. I was thinking about Charlie's little girls, his wife. He was such a powerful human being.
The FBI has issued a reward of up to $100,000 for information leading to an arrest. It is a bounty of some size and a manhunt of some significance. James Matthews, Sky News, in Orem, Utah.
Well, James joins us live now from Orem in Utah. Evening to you, James. Aside from the questions about the investigation and fighting the shooter, there has been widespread condemnation of this killing from across the political spectrum, but also questions about more political violence in the US as well.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Matt. But you know, this business of political violence, the political community was fast out of the gate, particularly on the right, with this business of political violence. The fact is, right now, as we know it, they haven't caught the killer. So they don't know who that person is or what his motivation was. That's why, that's one strand of importance as to why this manhunt needs to be brought to a conclusion very quickly. But Donald Trump, as you heard there, he's been very quick to point towards the radical left, as he would have it, stoking division and stoking what he would class as terrorism. And, you know, that, I suppose, is incendiary language, or it could be viewed as such, in a country where political violence is embedded. It has increased over time across the political spectrum. Donald Trump himself knows that. He's been the subject of an assassination attempt twice in the past year. The House Speaker of Minnesota in June, a Democrat, was shot dead along with her husband. So it is a problem. And when somebody as high profile as Charlie Kirk is murdered, then that has to be an issue. You know, on this day of all days, 9/11, when a country would typically come together in a sense of unity, step back from the brink and contemplate how bad things can get. There's been little talk of unity in the past 24 hours, and I do wonder if America actually has moved beyond that point, and whether or not in the coming days we're about to find out if that is indeed the case, and how far beyond unity and balance and reason this country has gone.
James in Utah for us this evening. Many thanks. To other news now. 3 members of a family from Essex have been jailed for making neo-Nazi music promoting terrorism and racial hatred. Robert Talland was sentenced to 4 years. His son, also Robert, was jailed for 2 years, and his daughter Rosie was imprisoned for 18 months. Robert Talland was described as a leading figure in a far-right network which staged gigs glorifying racist violence. Our correspondent Molly Malone has this report.
Captured on CCTV at a club in Leeds, what you're watching is people at a gig making Nazi salutes. It's hard to make out, but there are children being carried in the crowd on people's shoulders. while a band, which police say played songs calling for racist violence, performed in front of them. It was organised by this man, Robert Talland. He was convicted of encouraging terrorism for distributing extremist rock music and putting on gigs. While his two adult children, Rosie here on the left and Stephen on the right, were charged with stirring up racial hatred through the lyrics in their songs. They were part of a band called Embers of an Empire, which their father managed. 3 members of the same family, which police called a network of hatred. Robert Talland had been involved with the far-right music scene for decades. He used to work in security at concerts, before going on to run an extremist movement called Blood and Honour, organising gigs and selling merchandise for white power bands. When police searched his home, they found hundreds of CDs containing white supremacist lyrics, along with neo-Nazi banners and memorabilia. His daughter Rosie and son Stephen would later follow him into the world of far-right music, as he sought to encourage a younger generation to attend gigs across Europe, making music as part of a neo-Nazi movement. Molly Malone, Sky News.
A man has been arrested after a fire at the constituency office of Labour MP Sharon Hodgson in Tyne and Wear. Northumbria police said the man, who was in his 20s, was arrested on suspicion of criminal damage and arson and remains in custody. Ms Hodgson has been a Labour MP in the north-east of England since 2005. She is also the vice-chair of Labour Friends of Israel. The Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson and the former Commons leader Lucy Powell will go head-to-head for Labour's deputy leadership after the other candidates failed to make it through the first round. Ms Phillipson secured 175 nominations from colleagues by this afternoon's deadline, while Ms Powell was backed by 117 MPs. Brazil's former president, Jair Bolsonaro, has been convicted by the country's Supreme Court for attempting a coup after his 2022 election defeat. The far-right politician, who governed Brazil between 2019 and 2022, could face decades in prison after being found guilty on 5 counts. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has approved controversial plans to expand the development of homes in the West Bank. Human rights groups say the construction will cut across land which Palestinians hope could form part of a future Palestinian state. Now, the Duke of Sussex has left the UK following his short visit, which included a reunion with his father, King Charles. Royal watchers have described the meeting as significant, but tentative as well, as a step towards repairing their troubled relationship. Absent from the trip, though, was a meeting with his brother, Prince William, as our royal correspondent Rhiannon Mills explains.
Before heading to the plane, there was time for one final engagement that really had family at its heart. The Diana Awards, set up in Princess Diana's name, is an organisation that Harry has really not lost touch with, even after moving to America.
I can even dare to say that it feels like we've had more contact with him since he left the UK. But I think it's the passion, it's the commitment. He's so committed to the cause, he's so committed to young people, he's so interested in their mental fitness.
In a week where him and his team have known that all eyeballs have been on him, where he's been going and who he's been meeting, this time he was keen for the young people to take the stage. Except his words of encouragement certainly felt quite personal.
If you're a young person, it can sometimes feel as though you are lost or separated from the group and you feel isolated. But I can assure you that there's nothing wrong with you, right? And there's nothing wrong with young people out there. It is the society that we've allowed to be created around you. I've said this many times before, but I think you need to hear that.
This has felt like a different kind of trip back for Harry. With less secrecy, there has been a calmness around it. But it's also been helped by the fact that the one piece of the puzzle that they didn't have full control over, so whether or not Harry was going to meet the King, did actually happen in the end before he had to head home. But you could say in a way there was a poignancy to his last event. The Diana Award is the one organisation that he still shares with his brother, Prince William. And as he goes back to America, there are still big questions about their relationship. Rhiannon Mills, Sky News in central London.
That was Sky News at 10. Coming up, we'll take a first look at tomorrow's papers in the press preview. Tonight, I'm joined by the Chief Executive of Total Politics Group, Mark Wallace, and the crossbench peer and former Paralympic champion, Baroness Tanni Grey-Thompson. Among the stories we'll be discussing, this story on the front of tomorrow's Financial Times: Mandelson dismissed as Britain's US ambassador over Epstein links. We'll be right back.